Take your team to new heights with training you can trust from CBTC. Unlock your team's potential with affordable seminars and customized training in topics like leadership, safety, manufacturing, transportation, and technology. CBTC is more than a provider. We are your partner for talent upskilling, licensure renewal, recertification, and much more. Discover the impacts that come with our training, from heightened productivity to enhanced teamwork and a commitment to a safer workplace. Visit cbtc.edu/workforce solutions to get started today.
Hello and welcome to the Pablo Center's podcast, Beyond the Stage. My name is Kathy Wright and I'm the Director of Talent Booking here at the Pablo Center at the Confluence in Eau Claire. And I love doing this podcast. I love meeting new people and learning their stories. And this one I'm pretty excited about because this person and I go way back and have some great stories to tell. And I love that he is part of my career prior to Pablo Center and my career now. So today I would like to welcome my friend Chris Kroeze to the podcast. Welcome, Chris.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yes, I mean, we go back to the Country Jam days.
Yeah.
And you opening up our festival down there, and we had a ton of fun. Someday we'll talk about the idea to have you open your show on a pontoon, which was not my idea.
Yeah.
So thank you for kiboshing that. But here at Pablo Center, you have been a part of our history because our building really came to life when your career exploded.
Right.
And really, you were one of our first like multi-night sellouts, and that was pretty cool. Can you tell me a little bit about what that was like for you?
You know, it's I wish you could go back in time because it's one of those things where at that time, you know, I was fresh off of TV, and I had all this exposure, and I was really just learning how to put a show together, you know. I didn't have any idea what I was doing. I was terrified up there. But, yeah, I mean, like, now this is 7 years ago, you know. And now I feel like I'm a way better performer now. I've got better songs now. I've got, you know, the band is tighter. Everything just feels more natural now. But at the time, you know, it was just this big whirlwind. It was just, it was an adrenaline rush for sure.
Well, and the good news is we were still learning how to put a show together back then, and we were still trying to get our feet underneath us because we were kind of just as brand new as you were, and gosh, didn't we do like 2 shows in a row in the same night? And...
Yeah, we did. Yeah, I can't remember how that worked, but it was like 2 days and 3 shows or something. I can't remember.
Yeah. So great. And obviously, you know, there's been ebbs, flows, and pandemics on the in-between. And we, you know, you're a tradition here at Pablo Center, and we love that. And I want to tell the story of kind of how we ended up with this show that's coming up here in February. Is, you know, we were talking about, you were here for your last show, which traditionally has always been in December. And I think you were backstage warming up and you kind of mumbled something like, God, I hate Christmas music. And I looked at you, I'm like, then why are we doing a holiday concert? And you're like, I don't know, that's just when we always do it. So we giggled and we both decided, I think at that moment, like, how about we do it a little different next time? Yeah. And a couple months later, you and your agent called and said, Kath, my first full record's coming out. What if we do the premiere at Pablo? Yeah. And that was a slam dunk because we wanted this show to be completely different than any Chris Kroeze show you've ever been to. So tell me what that means. Like, what is, if I've seen you 3 times at Pablo and twice at Country Jam, like, why is this show going to look and feel so different for me here at Pablo?
I mean, I think there's multiple reasons. You know, I've got my band that I'm playing with right now. I've got, you know, Ethan Schmidt, bass player. He's been with me forever. And then the newest addition is Todd Barneson, and he plays mandolin and sings harmonies. And the 3 of us, when we're singing together, it's just, it's so much fun. And it's such a cool, like, I don't know, it's very, very Black Hawk, if that makes any sense.
Well, and you know my love of Black Hawk.
Yeah,
so.
Same. Well, we share that. So
yes, we certainly do.
I can't confirm or deny that there may be a Black Hawk song in the set list that night. But it's
Well,
gonna
I
be,
hope
you know,
so.
a whole bunch of, yeah. So I spent the last like couple years writing songs, and just kind of picked a handful of them and recorded them. And this is the first, like, I've recorded music and put out CDs and done all that, and nothing against any of my like past recordings or anything. That stuff's all been like monumental for me, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. But this time, this is the first time that I've ever recorded a project where I'm actually writing the songs, and I'm actually like taking my time and making sure I'm picking the songs that I want to sing every night, and you know, taking the process a little slower in the recording thing, because you go to Nashville and you record a record and it's like 2 days and you're done, and then you kind of come home and you're like, oh man, what did we just do? And now this time, you know, it's been a 1.5 year process of recording and re-recording a couple times and just starting from scratch and like cutting songs. I mean, I think there's 8 songs on this record, and we probably recorded 15.
Wow.
And you know, it's just not. This is the first time I've ever like taken the time to actually look at it a little more analytically, and like, just because I recorded the song and I thought it was the song at the time doesn't mean it is, you know. Does that make sense?
It does. I want to, and I know it's like asking like which of your kids is your favorite, but you know, Garth always had this philosophy that it wasn't the last track on every CD that he put out was like not necessarily the song he thought was going to hit at radio, but the one that was his absolute favorite song. And is there one of those that you're like, I personally love this song and it's going on here, whether you know people tell me it should or shouldn't, and but
Yeah.
it's one that just it feels so good in your soul that it had to make the record?
Yeah, and it's the title track for the record too. It's called "Even Rednecks Get the Blues," and it's I wrote that with a friend of mine from the cities, and it was like shortly after I had to bury my dog, which was awful, and it's like it's a sad song kinda, but it's I don't know, that one, that just, when that came together, everything just kind of like flew out of us, and it felt special right from the beginning. You know, I recorded a work tape of the song through just a microphone like this, just here in the studio, with just me playing guitar and singing live, and that was it.
Yeah. What does a
And
work tape mean? Like tell me what does that mean?
a work tape is usually when we write a song, you know, just a quick, rough, not great sounding reference, just so that we can remember the song, because I'll go through my phone and find songs that I wrote a couple years ago that I didn't remember. You know, and so the work tape I did for that one was a little better quality, and I did it like in the studio with real mics, and I actually decided that's actually going on the record too. So there's a full band version of that song, and so that work tape is on there, and it's just called "Even Rednecks Get the Blues" acoustic. But it's just a rough one take for the first time I'd ever sang the song. So I thought that was
Wow.
kind of cool.
That is really cool. And you know, it's kind of like that, you know, is it almost like sometimes you work on a song so much that it gets away from where you originally wanted it to be from day one,
Yeah.
and you actually have preserved the day you wrote it, like you preserved the way you wanted it to feel. So if you
Yeah.
get too far away from that, you can bring yourself back to that original
Right.
recording.
Exactly. Yeah. And then sometimes it happens the opposite, you know, where songs that I recorded, you know, 5-6 years ago, I've been playing them on stage for 5-6 years now, and they're a lot different than what I recorded them like. But that's just because that's how we play them, you know.
Yeah, I mean, and it's been, I mean, for me, it's been so fun to watch your career, and you know, you talk a lot about just being small town, and really that's your heart and your soul, and really what you want to be. And you and I have this passion for songwriters.
Yeah.
And you know, we're both lyrical junkies, and the process of songwriting, and you know, tell me a little bit about what that looks like for you when you sit down to write. I mean, is it like you in the truck? I mean, you hear all these stories from songwriters on how these songs come together. And we just had BJ Hollers from Triple Valley Writers Guild on here a couple weeks ago talking about like how beautiful words can be. So tell me about that songwriting process for you, because this show that you're doing for us at Pablo really is, it's your record, it's your words, it's everything about this show is cultivated outside of the Blackhawks song, is cultivated by you, and really to be an expression of who you are. So what does that songwriting process look like?
It's it's always a little bit different, but for the most part, I always try to start with like a title of a song. You know, if you look back at like all your favorite old records, I mean, even if you go through, Waylon Jennings is such a good example, and I know that's overused in all this country music songwriter talk, whatever. But if you look at a Waylon Jennings record and just look at the song titles, they're all interesting. You know, they all have a cool title. Um, and so, I mean, to me, that's kind of where a song starts, and that title is generally the hook, the part that people are going to remember and sing along. And so, I mean, you know, I'm trying to think of a good example, but I mean, the song "Even Rednecks Get the Blues." I mean, you could write that same title many different ways,
Mm-hmm.
and you just kind of see what you're feeling. And then I my favorite process with songwriting now is like, you know, we come up with all these like poetic ways of saying things, and then now I don't know if it's an age thing or what, but I'm like, I want to be a little less fancy with the words and just say it how I would actually say it, if that
Yeah,
makes any sense.
I think the authenticity of you has been what's made so many fans over the years. I mean, obviously we're on a podcast, but if people could see you right now, we're doing this over Zoom and I can see a bear, a deer head. I'm sure there's a turkey behind you.
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff in
Please
here.
tell me there's like a coyote full body mount or something, but like the authenticity of you is really, I think, your greatest attribute. And I love, oh, what's
Yeah,
over there?
we've got I think a couple coyotes, couple foxes, fishers, coon, beaver. I don't know, everything in here.
Yeah, you can't fake that, right?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. And when I was, if back to the going back in time thing, being on TV and doing all that, I feel like I've never watched my episodes of the Voice.
What?
No, and I won't. Um, I was completely out of my mind, nervous the entire time I was out there, completely out of my element, and I don't know. It's to me, it's super cringy to watch because I'm like, I don't even know what I said in those interviews because I was so nervous that I couldn't just have this conversation, Um, where
Did
were
you
we?
feel like you were in LA and it was the sound and the lights and everything? Did it feel inauthentic to you? Is that kind of why you were like this out of body experience?
Yeah, a little bit, and I mean, like, I'm not gonna dog on that experience at all because it changed my life, and I wouldn't obviously be doing what I'm doing now without it. But there was just some of the parts of it. We'd do these interviews. They'd interview us for an hour and a half and cut it down to a minute.
Oh, wow.
And I got to the point with a few of the interviews where I was just like, look, if there's they'd ask me the same question 10 times and I'd answer it, and finally I'd just be like, look, if there's a line you're looking for, just give it to me.
We can get out of here quicker.
Yeah. And so, I mean, there's that, and just not. I didn't know what I was doing. I'd been the guy in the corner of the bar for my entire life, just playing songs to people who didn't care. Um,
I don't want to spend too much time on The Voice, but so how many people in your season were in that boat that you were in? Like, look, 2 weeks ago, I was playing in my high school gym,
yeah.
and today it's cameras and makeup and hair, and what was the balance? Like, did you find people who were in that same, like, I don't know what is happening world?
Yeah. Oh, I would say almost all of us were there. There was a couple people out there that had done other shows and whatnot prior, but for the most part, I mean, it was, people trying to realize a dream, and there was people doing what I was doing, playing bars all the time, and then there was people out there that sang karaoke one night, and people were like, "Oh man, you're good. You should go try out for The Voice," and they had never done anything in the music industry, and some of them were fantastic, and I mean, it was kind of all walks of life, but yeah, for me, it was so crazy and just very, very uncomfortable, but it was like a good uncomfortable. But yeah, if I could go back in time, I think obviously if you can go back in time, you're going to be better at doing what you did 10 years ago
Of
than you
course.
are now.
Right.
But yeah, so I mean, yeah, I don't know. It was just crazy.
And I mean, you're kind of an introvert, yes?
Very much. Yeah.
And
Yeah, I
and
mean, it's weird because I am an introvert, like like when I'm home, it's like pulling teeth to get me to leave home. But once I'm out, I have fun. You know, I love being on stage. I love going to the shows. I love seeing people after the shows at the merch table, whatever, meet and greets, whatever. But yeah, I mean, I'm very much a homebody. Like my ideal, like my day off is either on a fishing boat or like in my yard. You know?
Except there was that one moment in Mexico where you blew away an all-inclusive resort. Yes, was that
Yeah.
was just
Well,
recently, wasn't it?
there might have been just a smidge of tequila involved.
Well, at least it didn't end in mugshots. It ended in
That's
a great
true.
viral video.
That's true. Yeah, that was super cool. That it was like a lounge, you know, at this resort, and we were just waiting for dinner, and this guy was playing piano, and he was crazy good, and we were sitting right behind him, and he started playing faithfully, and we were just having fun, and we were like, a few of us just started singing, and then people were like, "Holy, get up there and sing it with him," and so I did, and then they got it on video, which was kind of cool. And by the end of it, it was so random because that entire place was singing at the end of that song.
That's awesome.
And then for the rest of our vacation there, people were coming up to me at the pool bar or at the beach or whatever, and like, you know, you're at a resort in Mexico. Most people don't speak English, and there was this guy at the pool bar that just kept coming up to me. Like, he didn't speak any English. I don't know what language he was speaking, but came up to me and like was doing a piano like mime, and then just speaking a different language, and I'd be like, I don't know what you're saying. But he kept doing it, and I was like, it got to be funny with my friends that I was there with, because it was I just kept saying, yeah, man, I still only speak English. I'm sorry.
Yep, still. And is there like, when does like the Google factor, like, did anybody figure out that you were on The Voice, or did they just think, wow, this guy can really sing and he's got a big beard? Like, did anyone ever connect that there?
Yeah, there was a few people like from the States. I don't remember where they were from, but they were like, you were on The Voice. I remember seeing, you know, yeah, there was like a little bit of that, but not a ton.
That's cool.
Which is
See,
okay.
yeah, you have to, exactly, right? Sometimes you just want to be the guy that has a good voice.
Sure, yeah.
So you know, again, we've been working on this show for over a year together and talking about what a moment this is going to be for you. Your first full-length album that's going to come out, songs that were all written by you, they were recorded by you. I mean, and did you record them here at your studio at home, or did you record them somewhere else?
So I've been working with a producer named Kevin Bowe, and he's from Minneapolis. I recorded some of it at his studio in Minneapolis, and then some of it I recorded at a studio called Rock House Productions over in St. Joseph, Minnesota. If you remember a singer from the 50s named Bobby V.
Yeah.
So it's his son and his grandson run this studio together, and his son Bennett I play music with a lot, and they're just awesome people. So we recorded a bunch of these songs in Bobby V's old studio too. It's actually in an old bank in northern Minnesota. It's pretty cool.
That's incredible.
And then a lot of it literally right here where I'm sitting right now.
That is something I'm learning is, you know, recording studios, I think I only see maybe things that I see in music videos, but there is some incredible, I mean, even in our own community, like some really unbelievable studios that are out in the middle of nowhere, and major artists are coming through these studios and recording, and we never knew.
Yeah.
You know, here they are in our community, and you know, they're laying down tracks at, you know, a house out 40 minutes from town, and so all of these studios, like an old bank building, like that's got to feel pretty cool to be able to be in there, and really inspiring, even just on how the music turns out.
Super cool. Yeah, it's definitely like makes a big difference having that kind of history in there, and you know, unfortunately, Bobby V's not around anymore, but they've got all of his memorabilia stuff there. I mean, there's like a handwritten letter on a portrait of Bob Dylan from Bob Dylan to Bobby, you know, like hanging on the wall, and like signed Elvis stuff. I mean, all these crazy famous artists, you know, it's wild to look at all that and think about it.
It's like standing in the circle in the Ryman, right? Like all those that have come before you in that room is pretty incredible.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And so a couple things that are going to be different about your show. We're doing a party pit for the first time.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. It's it takes, you know, it's still a theater show, but there's going to be a little party element too. You know, it's fun to have people up front.
and talk about as an artist, like how important is the energy of the crowd for you?
It's huge. I mean, you know, we can we can force an energetic show, even if people aren't into it. You know, that's a big part of being a performer. You have to perform the same whether there's 4 people there or 4,000. And but if you have a crowd up front that's into it, singing along, dancing, whatever they're doing, but like putting out energy, it makes it, for one, it's so much more fun. And then when you're having fun playing music, the music is better.
I remember years ago we had Chris Jansen. Like the more fun he was having, the crowd got into it. Then he had more fun. Then they had more fun. I mean, you could just watch the
Yeah,
energy just like build. And
snowballs. Yep.
yeah, and we did our first party pit for Hairball a couple of weeks ago, which was awesome.
Yeah, I can't
But
imagine Hairball without a party pit.
yeah, well, and this is our first one, so
Yeah,
we're looking forward to that, and so I think that's something as people look at coming to the show, you've got options, right? The party pit's
yeah.
going to be down there. You can buy the tickets in the party pit or the seats in the theater because
And we've
everybody
got
likes
that,
a different
and we've
experience.
got that party pit and everything pretty reasonably priced for this too.
Yeah, I think it's like $22
Yeah.
or something. Yeah, that's awesome. And that
Yep.
was actually you actually called me a couple weeks ago and said, I want the party pit to be totally affordable and I want it full.
Yeah.
So which was awesome. So we made that decision and you're like, I want people down there and I want people having a great time. Which I'm loving. I'm loving. And I think what's fun about your shows, Chris, is like you said, afterwards out at the merch table, like it's no big deal. But I can tell you in all my years in the entertainment business, after the show, the artist doesn't always want to come out and talk to the fans. And they don't
No.
always, I mean, you're hot, you're smelly, you're sweaty, you just want to sit back and relax a few minutes. But
Yeah.
man, you can't wait to get out and say hello to people.
Yeah. I mean, like, yeah, it's fun. It's just it's cool to see the people that wanted to come see you. You know.
Well, and to say thank you, right? We
Absolutely. Yeah. I
we
mean,
had that
that's the reason
conversation a bit ago.
yeah, that's the reason I get to do this. You know. So
Yeah, artists are going away from that. And
I
it's
know.
really sad. You and I had a long conversation about that a couple weeks ago that, I think it's crazy when artists forget who's buying their music, who's buying their tickets. And, right now, everybody's watching their dollars. So for them, I think it's an honor for you. And when people do say, I'm going to spend my hard-earned money on an evening with Chris Kroeze,
Yeah.
and your willingness and ability to just come out and genuinely say thank you is what's so awesome
Yeah. I appreciate it.
about what you've got going on, and that makes me happy. So tell me about you have a place in your soul for veterans and first responders and police officers.
Yeah.
Tell me, how did that start, and tell me about it.
I mean, simple is like, as a kid growing up, I remember, when you're in elementary school, you're learning about history, and you get to the World War II era of history, and then when you're a little kid, you start asking questions at home, and then you find out that great grandpas on both sides of your family fought in World War II, and so it's like, well, that's kind of cool. And then as a little kid, I was like, yeah, I didn't even think anything of it, but my dad was a military policeman.
Oh,
And so I mean, it's kind of that kind of gratitude and respect has kind of just been ingrained in us. And then I don't even remember what year it was. It was like probably 12 years ago that something like that. 10, 12. It was all of 12 years ago that I went on my first overseas tour to go play for the troops. And actually, that was the first time I'd ever been on an airplane, which was pretty crazy to hop on an airplane and fly to the Middle East for your first flight. But just seeing those guys
go big
over
or
there,
go home.
exactly, yeah. And we were in the Middle East for 2 weeks, and like by the end of that, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know how people can stay over here. And like I was there for 2 weeks, and some of these guys are there for a year, 18 months. It's brutal, and I just feel like they deserve a lot for giving up. I mean, I met people over in Qatar or wherever we were that had been over there for a year, and they'd never met their 9-month-old son. And it's like that's insane. That's a huge sacrifice.
And there's so much that happens through these tours that, entertainers and artists bring. And, is there somebody that, obviously there's somebody that walks you through this process, right? You're not like, hey, Qatar, do you mind if I stop by for a couple
Right.
shows?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there's a whole company, I assume, that kind of puts
Yeah.
all this together for you. And are you briefed? Like, here's the zone you're going into, and like, don't drink the water. Like, how do they prepare you for that?
Honestly, not a ton. I mean, it's like you know where you're going, but we fly commercial when we go over there. So we just fly into the city and then take a local taxi to the military base and keep our fingers crossed and hope they have the paperwork right so we can get in.
Wow. And
You know?
they kind of do all that. Was there what things surprised you the most about heading over there?
I think the thing that surprised me the most was that when we showed up to a U.S. military base, it's usually inside the local army base. You know?
Oh,
So you have to go through their customs and everything before you get into our military base.
that's interesting.
It's kind of
I've
crazy.
I have a friend of mine that he just retired, and he did 3 tours in Iraq, and he talks about, on the regular, the artists that came over and played for them and how important that was. I mean, a lifelong fan, because of that. And he's like, they didn't have to come over. They didn't have to do that. But,
Right.
what they did for us at that time was incredible. And so thank you for being a part of that. We
Yeah.
sit back here and go, I don't know how to help. And, you found a way to help, and that's awesome.
Yeah, and I mean, I definitely like. I know it's an awesome thing to go do, and like, I know people appreciate it. I kind of feel guilty when people are like, "Oh, thanks for going over there," because selfishly, I've got to tour and travel and do all this crazy trips, because of it. So there's definitely some huge benefits for me to do it too. I mean, I've certainly was not getting rich doing it, but got to do a lot of cool travel and see a lot of things I probably will never have the opportunity to again.
But there's a ton of people that would never have the guts to do that either,
Sure. Yeah.
so give yourself credit for wanting to do that. There's
Yeah, I
people like,
could see
I'm not
that.
going over there, I might get shot. Well, yeah, I might
Yeah.
get shot outside too.
Yeah, you never know.
You never know, right? So anyway, well, your show is coming up. We know there's some great new music we're gonna hear. We're gonna hear some old stuff we love. You told me I'm not going to get Alleluia, but
Yeah, probably not.
probably not. But maybe before the show, you'll sing that for me.
Yeah, we'll see. We could probably figure something out.
And then there is actually a really kind of fun thing we're doing too. You can add a meet and greet and a little pre-show reception on. So if you want to hang out with Chris prior to the show and get in early and kind of check out Pablo, hear some music, that's available as well for this one. We just wanted this one to
Yeah.
feel a little bit different.
Yeah, and I mean, we'll have new merchandise there, new CDs printed. I'm sure people don't really use CD players anymore, but they make great coasters. So,
And you have a show poster for this one as well. I saw
well,
that today.
I just got that designed. Yeah, I'm gonna probably I'll print some of those.
That's
Yeah.
pretty cool. And so you can get those autographed
Yep.
at the merch table as well. And it's just going to be a great evening. So we keep talking about it, but the show is February 21st here at Pablo Center, 7 o'clock. Tickets available at pablocenter.org. And if you are active military, I think, Chris, if they send you a DM, you have a special link you can send them for a military discount.
Yeah. Go to my Facebook and go into the comments and just say, "Hey, I'm military" or something, and I'll send you the links in the code so you can get a discount.
Yeah, and we're looking forward to filling up the party pit. That's going to be a blast.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the other thing that I love about your show here is, I think I've seen you in a bar, I've seen you at a music festival, but there is something about the acoustics of the RCU Theater and your voice that is goosebumps. For those of people that have never been to the Pablo Center, our RCU Theater is one of the top 10 acoustic theaters in the world. It's comparable to the Sydney Opera House. And so, we talked about Black Hawk. They were here last month or a couple months ago, I guess now. And same thing. I've heard them in every weather and everything, but their voices in this theater were incredible. So if you've seen Chris before and you've never seen him at Pablo Center, I'm telling you, it's a completely different experience to hear your voice and your music in a room that is almost acoustic perfection. So that's my favorite part of you being here, is to be able to hear that in a completely different space. So we are excited about it.
Same. Yeah, I can't
wait. Awesome. Well, good. Chris, thanks for joining me today. We had a blast, and we can't wait to see you in February, pablocenter.org for tickets. And as always, our good friend Chris is doing what he does here in the Northwoods, and we love you for it. Thanks, man.
Yeah, thank you.